Okay.
Yes, sister.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning to all of the attendees here.
Good
Thank you for
morning.
attending. So let me make you aware. Today we are going to discuss about one Hindu editorial, and let's start the session and the day as well with a very good thought. So we'll first go through the thought of the day. Uh, the the thought is: don't treat people as bad as they are. Treat them as good as you are. Okay. So to explain you the interpretation of this is uh, we often say that tit for tat. So if someone did wrong to you, if he's a bad person, so you become bad to them. We often have this tendency that if he talks to you in a disrespectful manner, you also show them the same value. You don't respect them, or you start. If someone abuses you, you in return abuse them. However, this quote here is saying that don't treat the people as they are. Means if someone is bad, don't treat them badly, even though you may feel like they deserve the bad treatment, but still you treat them the way you are. If you are a good person and you think of yourself as a good person, so even if the other guy is bad or good or whatever, it should not matter to you. What should matter is how you are, and treat them the way you are. So this is a very good thought, and I will request you all to you apply it on your life. Okay. Yeah. With good thought, let's move ahead with our article. The article heading is a revert to the mean. Revert means to come back to a state where we were. Okay. Uh, this word, okay, to make you a to make you better acquainted with the meaning of this word revert. In this word is mostly used nowadays in email writing. Okay. When you write an email, you expect a revert. Okay. So um, when you write an email, so the HR responds back. So this respond back, you can also replace the word respond or reply as a revert. Okay. So as an HR, let's say you are the manager of the company, so you are mailing one of the employees that respond back with the statistic of the company or the budget or profit. So instead of using that respond back, you can also say revert back with proper or with the financial position of the company or budget or statistic, anything. So revert can be used in this sense. However, the exact context of revert is to come back to a former state, which means the state which we previously were. Okay, so here we are talking about crimes. So we came back to the previous rate of crime or level of crime. What does it mean? This means that previously, let's say there were 100 crimes being committed in a year. Then we saw a decline or perhaps increase in the rate, and then again we came back to the 100 rate again. So we can say that we came back to the original state. So the word revert is used in this context here. Okay, so let's read the heading. The increase the increase in violent crimes and suicides in 2021 point to the indirect consequence of the pandemic. Now we all know that Indian government had imposed a nationwide lockdown, and when we take such a big decision of restricting our such a large number of population, which is 1.3 billion in India, there will be some consequences. Of course, we did it in the hope of bringing down the COVID cases. Okay, spike in the COVID. We wanted to curb the COVID spike during that time, but there were some indirect consequences as well. What were those? We'll come to know as we proceed through the editorial. So again, now let me start from the data that you can see on your screen. First of all, let me know if the screen is clearly visible to you. Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. So let me explain you what the curve is indicating. So you can see the graph. In this graph, the red line, okay, sorry, the brown, the color that you can see, let's take the first example where females and males there are two graphs, one with the females data and one with the male statistic. Okay, so what does this indicate? Well, this indicate prevalence per 1 lakh. So in among 1 lakh women, how many crimes have been committed? What? Okay, and the nature of our interest is that, you see, and the plot, however it is not written, is time in the x-axis. Okay, in the lateral axis this is time, on the vertical axis it is the number. So you can see the graph as we moved ahead. uh, it took a spike. Okay, and the way the crime rate against women, the first one graph is in getting crime rate against reported against women. So you can see that it has increased. The blue line, a slightly blue line, indicates time before COVID. So before COVID, the crime rate against women were that those which are indicated by the color blue. Now we see spike during the time of COVID. So the crime against women have increased. Okay, this is what data says. What are the reasons? We'll come to know after reading the editorial further. Uh, okay, so now have a look here. In a worrying trend, the registration in violent crimes such as rape, kidnapping, atrocities against children, robberies, and murders increased in 2021 to levels set before the pandemic in comparison to the drop in 2020. According to the annual report, Crime in India, released by NCRB earlier this week. First of all, what is this body NCRB? It stands for National Crime Records Bureau. So it is a government agency which is responsible for maintaining records of crime reported across our country. Okay, and what does the report that it has recently published has the title of under the name Crime in India, and we have seen in 2021 the rate of crimes reported are higher. Okay, and so this is very surprising. It's not only surprising, it also indicates a worrying trend. So if crimes go high, it's natural that we'll get worried as a society. We always aim as a society, we always aim to reduce the crime rates, to make our society more civil. So this is what it indicated. Let's just go through the graph as well. So see, during the time of 2001, okay, you can see the years are mentioned on the lateral plot or the x-axis. If you know mathematics, you'll know what x-axis means. So on the lateral plot, you can see 2001. There was a crime, the data. Okay, on overall, against overall means here there is no mention or there is no special regard given to age or women or gender or anything. It's an overlap, like every crime being convicted. Okay, so be it against women or so it's the overall data. So you can see that initially there was a steadiness which was around in the years of from 2001 to 2003 there was a steadiness. The reports, the graphs is indicating that it was around 500. Okay, on the y-axis plot. Okay, as soon as after this 2003 we see a sudden spike, and in the year of 2004 there is a sudden spike. Based on these reports, we make our conclusion. We can draw some conclusion. First of all, the one conclusion is, who was this person who was appointed as the commissioner of a particular state or commissioner or the head of our police in uh, in in our country. Okay, so let's say that you appointed every. We all are familiar that every police department have DGPs, and there could be some officials above DGP who are responsible for maintaining law and order in our country. And now let's say that you appointed in 2004, you appointed a new officer and you see sudden spike in crime rate. That means he is an incompetent officer. He was not capable to, he could not curb the crime rates or reduce the crime rates. So you will appoint a next one, and then you see there is again decline, maybe because of the change or something. So we see this data. So based on this, we can draw our based on these data, we also draw our conclusion that what were the changes made in the law and order, what kind of practice we administered during this time, and why there is a decrease in crime rate, and how can we make it decrease more, decrease further. So based on this text, we can really draw big conclusions. Okay, just let it be there. I need to explain a bit more. The above graph, please. Come back to the above graph. Yeah. Yeah. So again, against women, if you see, there is a gradual. Now, this is not the overall case. This is against women. You see, there is a gradual increase against women. So it is a thing that which is to be worried about. Now, as we are getting more educated and more progressive as a state or as a nation, we should expect women empowerment and women being more uh, independent and more aware. But still crime against women are growing day by day. Recently, we have heard in the news that a woman in Jharkhand was burned by his boyfriend after rejection or something. So you can see crime against women, even though women are now more educated and aware, and still the rate of crime against women is increasing gradually. This is something to be worried about. Moving on. Okay, and also crime against caste, you can see, like against Dalits, it is gradually, again, this increase is very nominal, but still there is a gradual increase. So this shows that such things exist, such practices of crime against, in the name of gender, in the name of caste, still exist in our society, and which needs to be somehow reduced. Anyway, so let's move further. Yeah, okay. The drop in 2020 seemed to therefore the drop in 2020 seemed to therefore be an anomaly, either due to lower registration or particular partial decrease in occurrence, as there were extensive lockdown of and office shutdowns. While there was an increase in violent crimes in 2021, the overall crime rate per 1 lakh decreased from 487.8 to 450. uh, you guys can also note it down. This is a very important piece of information, that in 2020 the rate again 487.8 in 2020 and 445.9 in 2021. So there is a increase in 2021. Okay, and we'll come to know as we read through, but let me explain uh, why there is an increase or decrease. Okay, so the drop in 2020 seem to therefore be an anomaly. First of all, understand the word anomaly. What is anomaly? Okay, anyone here, do you understand what is anomaly? Okay, anomaly means irregularity. What kind of irregularity? I mean, if we could have also, if it only meant irregularity, we simply could have used the word irregularity here, but why to use anomaly? Okay, let me explain you the context. So, if you guys must have seen crow. What is the color of crow? Can anyone tell me what is the color of a crow? Anyone of you? Black, yeah. But if you see a crow with white patches, you can say that you can say the crow is one of the anomalies, which means it's irregular. Irregular means normally you expect things, or you expect a crow to be black in color. However, you see a crow with white patches, and now that's why you can call that as an anomaly. So again, see the thing that we are expecting. So anomaly is used in a sense you are expecting something and that doesn't happen. So this sort of irregularity, when you are expecting something to happen but that doesn't happen, this irregularity can be used, or can be described by the word anomaly. Here again, in 2020 there was a lower reports in crime, and uh, uh, so this remains an anomaly, because previously, prior to 2020, there was an uh, increase in crime. Again, after 2020, you see there was an increase in crime, but what exactly caused this lower rate of crime in 2020 remains an anomaly, which means irregularity. Okay, and so this is what the is the interpretation of the first thing, and let me read the other one. While there was an increase in violent crimes in 2020, the overall crime rate per 1 lakh. So among 1 lakh people, 487 were reported in 2020. Note the number 487, and 445 in 2021. Mm-mm. But this shows a decrease. Wait, I think they have reversed the data. In 2020, there was less crime reported, and here the data is a bit contradictory. It is 487 in 2020.
Good morning,
Okay,
Anurag sir.
largely
Good
due to
morning,
the
Anurag sir.
yeah. Good morning.
Hello.
Okay, so largely due to a decrease in case registered under disobedience to a public servant's order relating to lockdown. Okay, so here you can see, however, the crime have increased in 2021, but the data speaks otherwise. And the reasons are that due to a public servant disobedience. Who are public servants? Bureaucrats. We also call them public servant or civil servant. Okay, so they are responsible for recording all the data, but since it was lockdown time, so they were reluctant. Perhaps again, for some reason, perhaps the office was since the office was officially not functioning in the lockdown. There was a nationwide lockdown across the whole country, and since all offices were shut down, so recording the data would mean that the office was functioning, and perhaps due to some of these reasons, again these are not explained here, there could be a false record or lower record. Anyway, moving on, let's move further. Okay, so you can see in this graph, the red icon indicates the danger spot or the countries who were in COVID affected majorly, and the blue one were affected as well, but it was relatively less. Okay, the effect was relatively less.
Hello,
So
Anurag sir.
mhm,
हेलो
yeah,
सर सर मुझे कुछ समझ में नहीं आ रहा मतलब आप किस चीज पे कन्वर्सेशन हो रहा है
this is a session, editorial session. First of all, I advise you to use Hindi, please. Maintain the decorum. We have strictly asked everyone to use English. Okay, this is an English learning platform. The second thing is, it is an editorial which is being discussed, and don't worry if even if you have missed the initial portion of the editorial discussion, you we provide you the link. We will upload this session. You can go through that. So remain patient. Okay, let this session be over, and after that I'll tell you the link. Okay, you can watch it from the very beginning. Okay, let's come back here and read. If 2020 was the year when India faced the first COVID-19 waves, 2020 was equally a fraught year because of the effect of Delta variant of the novel coronavirus. The frequency and intensity of the lockdowns were relatively lower in comparison to 2020. Cruelty by husband or his relatives constituted 31.8% of the crime against women, up from 30.2% in 2020 and 30.9% in 2029, indicating that domestic violence continued to be a major issue. Okay, see, first of all, in 2020, the reports or the less report in crime cases can be understood and can be explained by the cause of lockdown. Since there was lockdown imposed, people were not as mobile as they are on regular days, and due to this lack of mobility, perhaps there could be a reduction in the crime rate reported. Okay, as since you are all only within your you are staying within your home when you're residing inside your home premises, of course you are not going outside, so no one can kidnap you. So these in 2020 it can be understood, but the sudden increase in 2021 is surprising then, because 2021 was again the restriction were less, of course, as compared to 2022. There were some, government allowed some workers to go to their job and office, but still the lockdown was in place, and the numbers went high. Okay, the crime rate went high. So even during lockdown the crime was increasing, and this is surprising. Okay, that why even during lockdown the crime was reported more. But notice the nature of crime. Okay, so to explain this, why the crime reported were more, we will pay attention to the nature of crime committed. So we see that there was an increase in the crime against women. So now that due to lockdown, men were staying home. Again, these were orders from the lockdown. Since they were staying at their homes, now the crime committed by men against their relatives was more reported more. So you can see the crime outside, like crimes like murder and kidnapping, was not being committed, but crime of domestic violence was taking a hike. Again, you can see cruelty by husband. This article is saying that cruelty by husband or his relatives uh, increased. Okay, and increased by 31%. Okay, constituted 31% of the crimes. So out of all the crimes, 31% of them was crime committed by husbands or the male with their relatives. Okay, and now 31% of them were against women, and which is a rise from 30% in 2020 and 30.9 in 2020. So again, so you see, in 2019 this was 30%, around 30%, then again 30%, but sudden rise in 2021, which is 31.8%. So 1% in rise, indicate this rise is indicating that domestic violence continue to be a major issue. Okay, so this is what the data is indicating. Moving further, let's proceed. Scroll down a bit. Yeah, so let's have a look on the records against every 1 lakh. So this uh, yeah, so this bar graph is indicating that against every 1 lakh, like crime reported against every 1 lakh. So out of 1 lakh people, how many of them were uh, uh, faced by any crime? Okay, or okay, so in 2020, 2004, you see, this was the year. In above graph you have seen there was a sudden spike, rise in the crime cases. So it is around 553.3. Okay, and in 2005 there it brought down uh, to 455. So again, but we see again then it is taking an increase. Again it is getting to the 500 figures, and now up to 2000 again, but after 2016 there was a significant decrease. Okay, you can see the years of 2016 and 17 and 18, it is only around 300, which is record low. Okay, which is record low. So we should maintain our we should have maintained this, but only after 2018 we see that in 2020 this again climbed, this figure again climbed to 400, which was again written in the article,
अनुराग सर, अनुराग
487.8.
सर, हेलो सर।
Yes.
सर, जो 2020 2004
Mm-hmm.
सर, फाइन सर, ओके सर, कंटिन्यू।
Okay. Yeah, so see, we had brought down the crime rates to the figure of 300 per 1 lakh, which was a quite an achievement for us. But we lost this achievement very soon in 2020, because in this article we have seen the data is indicating that the numbers rose again to 487, and in 2020 and in 2025 as well, the figure touched 400 mark. So again there is an increase. So we need to again do something, what we have done in 2016, 17 and 18, and we should look to decrease the crimes being committed. Yeah, let's move further. Yeah, keep it there. Yeah, while violent crimes increased, the charge sheet rate fell from 75.8% in 2020 to 72 in 2021. So I have attention here, pay your attention here. While the violent crime increased, so we know that the violent crime have increased, but charge sheet which being filed, like when you go to register your complaint, whether or not uh, they are going to entertain you, or the officer is going to register your case. So previously in 2020, 75% cases were registered, but now the registration rate is 72%. So even though crime are being committed more, but they are not registering it, you know. So unless we register a crime, against criminals, there is no, I mean, how can we bring it down? Okay, how can we counter it? So we need to register more cases uh, and file more charge sheet against criminals. Otherwise, we cannot bring down the number. So this could be one of the reason why we see rise in the cases of crimes. Okay, as did the conviction rate. Now I'll have a look at the conviction rate. First of all, what is the meaning of conviction rate? Like when you file a charge sheet into court against somebody and he got convicted, that means the court have declared someone as guilty. Okay, now the court could have declared a person innocent as well. In that case, you are called acquittal. So you have been acquitted by the court. That means you are declared innocent. But if you are declared guilty, you are convicted. Okay, you are convicted. Now have a look at this data. After now that you are clear with the meaning of conviction word, uh, let me read it again. As did the conviction rate. Conviction rate means that how many criminals were convicted. So previously the conviction rate was 57%. Now it is in 2021 it is 57% from 59.2% in 2020. Again observe the difference. In 2020 the court convicted more criminals, so more criminals were declared guilty. Okay, but in in 2021 it is 57% only. So previously out of 100, 60 around 60 criminals were charged. Okay, but in now only 57. So this is something we need to again observe carefully, and even the right author is saying here. So the law enforcement was less responsive in a year with more violent crimes. These figures indicate that when the crimes are being convicted more in numbers, the authorities or law enforcement authorities are less responsive. So this is the reason why we see the rise in cases. Okay, okay. Let me read further. Again, these trends have to be read state-wise. So now we'll pay our attention to state-wise, because see, not one policeman or one officer is responsible for the control of all nationwide law and order. Every state have their own. Every district have their own SSPs, and every state have their own DGPs. So that's why it's better if we analyze things state-wise, because the control of law and order varies from state to state. Okay, so now in Assam, okay, 76.6 violent crimes per 1 lakh. Delhi 57% and West Bengal 48.7 had the highest numbers, while Gujarat and Pradesh and Tamil Nadu registered lowest numbers. So see, in Assam, the rates, these are the highest rates. So the most of the crimes were committed in Assam, then in Delhi, and then in West Bengal. Okay. However, the least number of crimes were committed in Gujarat, Andhra Pradesh, followed by Tamil Nadu. So now we can draw observation that who were the officer, or who was the DGP or SSPs of Gujarat in cadre, and these have performed significantly well compared to the one in from Delhi or Assam or West Bengal. So officer
Anurag
in
sir, Anurag
in
sir,
these states were less responsive, and the rate of crimes. Uh,
Anurag sir. Hello sir.
Guys, can you hear me clearly?
Sir. Hello. Hello. Hello.
To interrupt. If you have question, I'll give you opportunity in the very. Hello, am I clear? Can you guys hear me?
Sir.
Yes,
Sir.
yes, you are
Okay.
clear. Go ahead.
Okay. Okay. So yeah, if you guys have any query, I'll give you opportunity at the end of during the time we conclude this editorial. Okay, but let there be a continuity while I'm reading. Okay. Okay. So let's have a look at the on the bar graph again. So scroll down a bit and zoom into the bar graph. Yeah. Okay. So the total number of reported dowry deaths cases from 2005 to 2019. Okay. So have a look at these
Talking
numbers.
about not the total, it's an increase
I
in
urge you all,
higher
please kindly maintain the order, and if you have any query, uh, I will let you.
Anurag
I will
sir.
give you the opportunity. Yes. Okay, so observe this, that this is a data of dowry cases. Okay, dates by dowry, not just dowry, dates by dowry. And this is recorded from the year 2005 to 2019. And what can we observe from the bar graph? The length of the bar graph. See the height. Bar graph are indicated in terms of height. So you can see the height of these pillars, that the pillar-like figure, the blue pillar-like figures that you can see on your interface of your screen. See this. Uh, the bar graph is still prevalent. However, it is declining now. Now the rate, this is a good thing. I think that it's appreciable that the pillar length of the pillar is now declining. However, it is still something to be worried about, that there are deaths being committed or deaths being reported by the atrocities of dowry. And even though we are more educated, more, we have access to technology these days, and still dowry remains, dowry, which is a social evil, remains prevalent in our society. So this is something, this is something to be worried about. Okay. Okay, so let's move further. Let's move further, scroll down a bit. Hello, am I audible, guys?
Yes, you are audible, Kunal.
Okay, okay. The report also revealed that suicide rate in the population in 2021, 12 per 1 lakh was highest in the last 5 years. Domestic problems 33.2% and illness 18.6% were reported as the main cause. Okay, so now this is something again which is something that can cause you, that is disturbing a figure, that suicides were committed more during 2021 year, and this is a year where lockdown was in place. Okay, so in lockdown people were committing suicide as well. But let's have a look at the reasons. Can you zoom in that pie chart, please? Please zoom in that to that pie chart. Yeah, guys, can you see this pie chart clearly? Are the numbers visible to you all? Yeah, I hope now it could be more, you can see it with more clarity. So, okay, let me explain it. So, see, the reasons for of suicide, these are divided. This pie chart is indicating the regions for the suicide attempted, okay, or suicide committed. Okay, professional or career reasons. So, reason regarding academics. So, if you have failed your exams, so these comes under academic or professional reasons. If you are not able to perform in your job good, so this could be attributed as a professional reason. I mean, uh, reason within your profession for suicide. Okay, so maybe if you're not didn't get your promotion or something, so these are from 5 to 12%. So 5 to 12% of such deaths, such suicides w- were caused by professional or career related reason. Now marriage related issues, okay, dowry also would come in marriage related reason. Dowry, caste, intercaste marriage, interreligion marriage, such cases fall under the case of marriage related suicides, and the figures are again 5 to 11%. However, the pie chart, the largest segment of this pie chart is family problems, so which accounts from 10 to 23%. So the most of the suicide are committed because of family related troubles. Okay, so it could be because because of a land dispute that you have with your uncle and others. Maybe dowry is again, dowry can also fall in this category. uh, Other things. Okay, so family related problems, love and affairs. Okay, love and affairs, these cases, how many are there? 4 to 9%. And okay, reputation, social reputation. And what are these social reputation? It is honor killing and other things. So if social reputation, let's say that there is a guy who there is a Muslim, or sorry, not Muslim, let's say that there is a guy from lower caste community who married to a higher caste girl, or same happened like a higher caste guy married to a lower caste girl. They believe that their honor was threatened. How, and these fall under the category of honor killing or reputation harm. Okay, that somebody harm their reputation. So these fall under this category. Okay, poverty, due to poverty, 2 to 5%. Due to drug abuse, like people who consume due to, deaths due to overdose of drug, or due to intoxicated alcohol consumption. We all know that we have heard about cases of poisonous alcohol or liquor consumed, and that resulted in deaths. So these account for 5% of the suicides. So deaths, 5% of the deaths. Okay, so let's, after having this studied, you can also read this pie chart for a better understanding. Meanwhile, we'll scroll further. So scroll further. Scroll down. Yeah, with um, yeah, with most victim being daily wage earners. Now, in the cases of suicide, most of those who committed suicide, out of them, most were daily wage earners. Who are these daily wage earners? Laborers, people who go every day to their job and they earn every day, and they, if they don't go for work, they'll have to, I mean, like, they will have to remain hungry for that day. So these are the daily wage earner. Okay, so they get paid on a daily basis. Okay, coolies, like on railway platform you can see coolies, they get paid on a daily basis. Okay, so daily wage earners, have committed most of the suicides, and then followed by housewives. Okay, so housewives, maybe because of domestic violence or some other reasons, they are the second highest who commit suicide, revealing the severity of pandemic and its indirect consequences on the people. And what does this indicate? These figures are indicating that there were indirect consequences of the pandemic or the lockdown that was imposed. Either people were traumatized because of the COVID. They saw a lot of there was havoc all around. Disturbing footage was coming. People were dying. Their relatives were dying. So these also cause mental trauma. It could be the cause. The mental trauma may have led to these increasing deaths or increasing crimes. When you are not mentally sound, of course, you are more prone or susceptible to commit a crime. And when you are mentally rational, of course, you won't not commit any crime. So this can be one reason, or the other reason could be, since you are locked inside of your room due to lockdown, uh, you turn a bit rebellious. Okay, everyone turns a bit rebellious. They seek freedom, independence. So that could be one reason. So okay, let's read further. Okay, with India registering the highest excess death during the pandemic, in particular during Delta wave, according to the World Health Organization, these figures are not surprising. So, World Health Organization have said that during the second wave, India reported the highest deaths. Okay, and during the second wave, the variant was Delta variant. So, Delta variant caused more deaths in India than in any other country. And for WHO says that it is not surprising that if you suffer so many losses of lives, people are disturbed mentally, okay, emotionally as well. And so crime reports are not surprising. So I mean, when you are not mentally sound, of course you are prone to commit crimes. Okay, the 5.9% jump in cases registered by cyber crimes. Now there is also increase in cyber crimes, which is worth noting. So there is increase in there is a jump of 5.9% in cyber crimes. What are cyber crimes? Cyber crimes are those crimes like attacking with virus, hacking a website, hacking a bank account with phone. So these are upload these are cyber crimes. Okay, threatening somebody with on WhatsApp, threatening to hack their account, or giving rape threats and other things. these all murder threats, these all come under cybercrime. So if you are emailing someone that you are going to take their lives away or you can murder some, these all fall under the category of cyber crimes. Also, if you have hacked somebody's account, then that is also a cyber crime. So these are part of cyber crimes. Now there's an increase in number. Okay, why there is an increase in cyber crimes? Because in lockdown times, people were inside of their house. They were not allowed to go outside, so they all were using their cell phones and internet. When you use internet, of course, since you have more active internet users, uh, so more users are there, and so the more cases are of cyber crimes are reported more. Now this is well indicated by the graph that we have. So scroll down and let's have a look on the graph. Yeah, so pay your attention to the graph, what it is indicating. Okay, so first case is of deaths. You can see that as you know, the during the lockdown time. Okay, what is this? Death of on 17 June include historic deaths reclassified with coronavirus as cause. So you see, the death rate was low previously, initially. This is before lockdown. As soon as there came COVID, you see there's a spike in the case of death, but then nation started to impose lockdown. So again, the death number of deaths got reduced to some extent. But then again, there was a rapid incline in the cases of deaths, because it could have been because of the Delta variant. So the virus changed its mutation, and with a change mutation, more deaths were reported. So this is the death rate. Okay. Okay, move further. Scroll down. The increase was more so in rural areas, as cybercrime in metropolitan cities with population more than 2 million people registered a decline of 8.3% compared to 2020, with more people in rural area are utilizing digital devices, including for financial purposes. The increase in cybercrime should warrant an effort by the government to educate people about risks in cyber activities and to ensure better law enforcement. Now, the the you know uh, the
Are you discussing
interpretation
about
of
are,
this.
are you discussing about editorial?
Yes. Please
Okay,
let me
okay,
finish. Okay, we are just
okay,
at the brink of conclusion. Yeah.
okay. I got
So
it.
this paragraph is indicating that this paragraph is indicating that now there were more active users in rural areas during the time of lockdown, which is 2021 and 2020. And since they were new users or they were rural, so it's very clear that these people would not be very aware about the cyber threats, okay, that exist. So like, you should not, what are the preventive measures that we take? You should not share your OTP with somebody, right? You should not share click on any link which you find suspicious. Okay,
Hello,
so these
hello.
are the preventive measures. Yes. Yeah. So these are the preventive measures. So if you want to avoid being fraud by a cyber crime, you should not click on any undesirable link or suspicious link. You should not fall down uh, on a tempting offer like you have won 50,000. You can receive a message that you have won 50,000. Now give me your bank details so that we can transfer the money into your account. These are the things. People fall in such traps, and these people from rural area, they are more susceptible because they are less educated and less aware about cyber threats that exist, and they fell into such traps. And that's why the reports of cyber threat or cyber crimes is more reported from rural area than inside urban area. So this was the whole essence from this paragraph. Scroll down. Let's have a look at the graph. That what does the graph says? So this green bar is indicating AIU, which means active internet users. So in urban area, you can see that in 2017 there were 55% of active internet users, but then it increased and it only kept increasing. So from 55%, now people started, it came to 61%, then 66%, 67%. So in urban area, people are more actively using the internet, and which is very natural. But even in case of rural areas, okay, we see that there is an increase, and this increase is more pronounced. See, 15%, there is a 5% jump, okay, and then there is a 28% jump, okay, and then there is this 3% jump, 31%. So now people in rural areas as well. However, one thing is worth noting that, see, there is 67% of the urban user use internet. However, in rural area, only 31% of the population have access to internet, or they are using internet, okay. So in case of urban, at least the record is much less in rural area, okay. uh, and what does the growth indicates? So in urban cities, people are using internet, but but it is very contradictory that the growth rate is decreasing. So urban population is using internet for their fun, perhaps to make Instagram reels and other things. So you can see the growth is declining, okay. The black thread like representation indicates the growth rate. The growth is declined. So even though the internet users are increasing, the growth rate in urban cities is declining. However, in rural areas, the growth rate is increasing. So people in rural areas, they are using internet and they are growing because they are now becoming more aware about how things work, and they are using it for financial purposes as well. So let's scroll down further. Okay, coming to the tone of editorial. Anyone, please tell me, what do you think? What is the tone of editorial?
It was analytical.
Okay, analytical. Anyone else? Moni, what do you think? What was the tone of editorial? Mhm.
Sorry for that.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I think the tone of editorial is analytical because there were data, statistic, and based on these statistics, we were analyzing the whole scenario of internet users and crime being committed, and how crime were committed in lockdown. So these are the things. So with that, first of all, thank you all for participating in this session. And those who have missed the initial phase, or some part of the session, they can go to our YouTube channel. We will upload the session, and yes, you can watch it at the time of your convenience. So again, we will and also subscribe our YouTube channel, please, to show your support, and we will keep conducting session like this. So your support will motivate us. It's a motivation for us. Okay, with that being said, I think it's time now to conclude this session, and thanks all for joining, and have a nice day ahead. um,
Thank
it's
you so
time for me
much,
to